Happy Friday, North Texas! I'm Scott, and today is Friday, November 21st. We've got a great interview for you today about an alumni-owned small business, but before we get to that, let's check in with Zach Babb for the Mean Green Minute.
Mean Green men's basketball bounced back into the win column on Thursday with a 74-56 home win over Central Arkansas. 4 players scored in double figures with a leading 15 points scored by Josiah Shackelford. North Texas is back in action on Tuesday at home when they welcome Eastern Washington to the Super Pit. Women's basketball suffered their first loss of the season on Wednesday, a 60-51 home defeat to Abilene Christian. North Texas's next game on the women's side is this Saturday in Dallas as they take on SMU. Volleyball fires up the American Conference Tournament on Friday as they take on Wichita State in a first-round matchup. That match gets underway at 12:30. And football looks to continue their winning ways when the 9-1 squad heads to Houston to face the Rice Owls on Saturday. That's a 6:30 p.m. tip-off on ESPNU. You can also listen to the game on Talk Radio 1190 and on the free Varsity Network app, with the pregame show there getting underway at 5:30.
Thanks for that update, Zach. Just an unbelievable run for the football team right now. What a great time to be a Mean Green fan. You can get more UNT athletics updates from Zach by checking out his other podcasts, GMG Cast and This Week in Mean Green Sports. Now, this podcast will be off next week while the university is closed for fall break, so I wanted to get a jump on celebrating Small Business Saturday next weekend by featuring an alumni-owned small business. More than 500 UNT alumni own and operate small businesses in the North Texas region. I interviewed Tex and Jennifer Stevens to learn about their small business journey with Easy as Pi Tutoring. All right, Tex and Jennifer, thank you so much for taking the time to join me for the podcast today.
It's our pleasure.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
So let's start with kind of going back to the beginning. Let's talk about your time at UNT. When did y'all graduate and what did you study?
So I graduated in 2008, and I was a education major, bachelor's of science, with a focus on 4th through 8th grade interdisciplinary. So math, English, history, and science certification to teach.
Yeah, and I graduated a year later in 2009 with a Bachelor of Arts in Creative Writing in English and a minor in poli-sci.
Nice. We would have overlapped. I transferred in 2008, and then I graduated in 2010.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And then tell me about Bill's business. It's a tutoring business, is that right?
Yes. So I taught for 6 years in Northwest ISD. I did my student teaching with UNT in Northwest ISD. Brian Earl, I'll name drop, he was my cadre coordinator at North Texas. And so I was placed there for an elementary and a middle school rotation and just fell in love with middle school. And so I taught there in Northwest for 6 years, 8th grade math. It's always fun when people would be like, "What do you do?" And I'm like, "I'm a math teacher." And they're like, "Oh, like what age?" And I was like, "Middle school." And they're like, "Oh, double. Ugh." But I loved it. I loved the age. I love math. So I did that for 6 years. And then, I think 5 years in, we got pregnant with our son. And my mom was a math teacher. She worked all through my childhood. And so I just figured I'd be a working mom. And then when he was born in October. And so I still had quite a bit of the school year left. And I was like, I don't want to go back. I want to stay home.
And this is 2013.
Yeah, this is 2013.
Yeah.
And Texas was teaching as well at
Yep.
the time. And teacher incomes, it's hard to do on one.
Yeah.
And so we just were like, no, there's no way, that I'm going to be able to stay home. And then he looked at the budget, I guess that April, I'd already gone back to work, and he found a way that we could let me stay home for at least a year, just wouldn't save any money.
It was a stretch.
I can imagine.
And
So we were banking on the tutoring just bringing in, a couple hundred a month maybe. We
Yeah.
thought we would just save a little bit potentially if we can.
Yeah, I had told all my coworkers when we had decided that I was going to stay home the next year, send families my way. We would get calls all the time about tutoring. And, as teachers, we would offer tutoring before school or after school, but it was rarely like one-on-one. It was, a classroom potentially full of kids, especially with math. And so we didn't really know or have, about Sylvan and like Mathnasium, but we didn't have relationships with those establishments. And so I just told all my coworkers, like, feel free to give out my contact info. And I started that summer. And then it just kind of took off.
You were driving all over the place.
Yeah,
to
I
meet
was
people.
I was driving down to Trophy Club because that's where I had taught. And I would do 4 or 5 kiddos back to back at like Starbucks down there. And I could have worked every night of the week, but then we would have had no family time together. But it was just really cool how the Lord orchestrated that. We're believers, and we thought, no way is this gonna happen. And he just dropped this amazing opportunity in our lap.
Yeah.
And so that was now the summer of 2014, and through 2015, it was just me tutoring. And we decided that, we'd like to grow this. And so we were thinking,
Well, at some point, you were turning people away,
yes.
and other people were trying to get you to come work with them.
hmm
And I said, well, what if you were the person trying to get people to come work for you? Because she has a great reputation. She was an awesome math teacher. Like, her reputation continues even all these years later. And I thought, why don't we use that for other people, which would also benefit us, obviously,
Yeah.
but just to get them in, because there's a lot of people that are probably sitting at home wishing they had a way to jumpstart their side hustle.
Yeah.
And so we were thinking about like who would be a good fit for this. And so we thought of other former teachers that were maybe staying home now with small children, like myself. We thought of student teachers, because I remember when I did that, we were in the classroom Monday through Friday. And so it was hard to have a part-time job as a student teacher. And so I got some of the cadre coordinators that served UNT to put me in touch with some of their student teachers. And so we grew student teachers, other stay-at-home moms, retired teachers who still wanted to, be a part of education in a smaller way. And then also I have some current teachers who teach Monday through Friday, who, are looking to make a little extra money working in the evenings and weekends. It's tough right now for educators. There's a lot being asked of teachers. The state has not compensated teachers well since 2019, when they last raised their
Basic
budget.
Yeah.
And so that's a whole other conversation.
Yeah, my wife's a teacher, so I appreciate that angle for sure.
Yes.
It's another soapbox.
Yeah. And so, it was 2016 when we started to grow the business, and we got our first, I think she was a student teacher in Keller ISD, and she joined, and then we just have kind of grown organically, word of mouth. I post a lot on social media, and friends of friends will contact me. And so we have about, I'd say 15, depending on the semester, 15 to 20 other tutors that work with Easy as Pie, ranging from, learning to read with elementary to AP calculus. We do SAT prep, some of the college sciences, world history, Spanish, pretty much everything except for the rest of the foreign languages. I think Spanish is, I don't have
that's it.
any German tutors or.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Yeah.
So say like middle school, high school age student?
Yes. Elementary, middle, high school, and then post-secondary.
Okay, so
because you've done like SAT prep and things before.
Yeah, we currently have a boy playing soccer in Pennsylvania, so we have to coordinate. I think he's in East Coast time, so we have to. But he grew up here and he's in school there, and so he's needing help with college physics, and so one of the tutors is getting him going this fall.
Nice. That's great. And then, so Tex, do you also tutor now?
No, I don't actually. I still work for an ISD.
Okay.
Actually. So we kind of have our toes in both worlds. Like, she's in it in the private sector, and I'm still in the public sector. But I still work for an ISD. I'm over a 504 program for a local district, but I help her on the side. And so what I do, most of what I do for her business is all the back end stuff. So I'm the legal compliance, taxes, making sure the books look good, paying people. I manage our website, so all the technology is kind of something I'm in charge of. And then I push her a little bit too, because she is far more capable than she realizes. And so, part of me pushing her was inviting other people into the business. Not just turning people down and going, "Oh, this is great," but hey, how could we change what we're doing? How else have I pushed you? Oh, well, we started. She started her bookkeeping on a legal pad, actually, like pen and paper. And I'm like, let's go to the technology route. And I think then she turned it into an Apple Notes that she would go line by line, and that was real fun to look over when tax season came. And so then we moved to a spreadsheet, and we're still on just a glorified spreadsheet right now. But same thing with like booking. I'm like, how can we make this easier for you, make it easier for clients? And so we're now on like some booking software that makes it easy for everybody to schedule their appointments. But that's kind of my role with Easy as Pie. And then eventually, I think when the time came to form an LLC, I took the reins on that and got
Yeah.
it registered, and I have to handle all those deadlines, which is really fun.
It's a huge
Yeah.
blessing. Like
Yeah.
we don't have business degrees. Like
Yeah.
I'm a teacher, certified teacher. He's a writer and he's in education. And so we've kind of had to figure out, the business side of this. One of the things that he did early on, I think it was before we even had any tutors with us. It was just myself. So it must have been like 2015. I was still commuting down to Trophy Club, and we live in Denton, and so it's about 30 minutes.
Oh yeah.
And I would have clients call me as I was getting in the car to cancel. Their kiddo didn't have any homework, or they wanted to do something else that evening. And I had arranged childcare we had one kiddo at that time, and I was turning people away, and so that slot could have gone to somebody else. And so it was a bit frustrating when that would happen. And so he was kind of the catalyst to we needed to create
some
like a policy document.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that was really nerve-wracking for me at first, because I just didn't know how that was going to go over. It felt really formal. It's
Yeah.
it's a tough industry because there's a lot of emotion in this. Kids will sit at home crying at the kitchen table doing math homework, and parents are pulling their hair out. And so it's an emotional component with this, because you're really like helping these kids, and you feel almost like part of the family. And so when you're talking about a policy document, it just kind of makes it more formal. And
It can seem cold.
yeah, it can
Yeah.
seem
Yeah.
cold, but it is a business. And yes, we are working with children and families, and we do care and we want them to be successful. But
When it turned into it seems really cold, but it's also managing everybody's expectations. Like, hey, here's what you're signing up for and agreeing to, and what I'm signing up for and agreeing to, and here's how the relationship's going to work, which is good for everybody.
Yeah,
yes.
I think it's something most parents I would hope understand. Like, I had my kids in swim lessons over the summer, and if we miss one of their classes, we still have to pay for that class.
Right.
Right.
It's just
Yeah.
the way it is.
It was received very well from my existing clients, and then any new clients that we had picked up, it wasn't thought of as odd or strange. Like you said, if you're doing sports or music, you're signed something and you commit to something. And so it was just really just me getting out of my head.
Yeah,
But it
that's
was
fair.
good for the tutors that came on too, because many of them would arrange childcare and they would drive 20 minutes to a location. So if you think all in all, that if a tutoring session's an hour, they're driving 20 minutes each way, it's an hour and 40 minutes that they're spending. So minus the childcare, minus the gas, like they're not going to be taking home that much if they cancel and then don't make anything at all. Or I guess they're not taking home anything.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They're net negative. But it's good for everybody. And
Yeah.
it's one of those things, like we have, like she said, we're not business majors. We've had to pick everything up like as we go, and like mess up and course correct
Mhm.
and learn it very slowly, which has been fun. I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah, it has. We had no idea. Our son's going to be 12 this year, so almost 11 and a half years of doing like this. I had no idea. I figured I'd get him to 1 and then put him in childcare and get back into the classroom. And so to be here 11 years later, just the two of us, with this amazing team that the Lord's given us is just a huge, huge blessing, and not anything that we had on our bucket list or our bingo card for
Yeah,
being new parents. And we
Mhm.
have 3 kids now, so it's just been wonderful to get to be home with them and do this.
Yeah.
that's great. That's great. I'm curious what it was like for you to be doing this like during the pandemic. Was that
Oh, that was interesting.
or even post pandemic with learning loss? Like, have you seen an uptick in business after that? Like, what was that like for you?
So I think there was a hot second where at least Jen thought that that was going to kill the business.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just everybody's future being uncertain,
Hmm.
their income being uncertain. Like, what is this going to do to Easy as Pie Tutoring? And I was kind of optimistic, and I didn't have any reason to be, but I thought, because she said this is it's an emotional thing, right? Like, this is their kids we're talking about. This isn't a Netflix subscription that you can cancel and it's inconsequential. Like, this is a big deal.
Yeah.
Um, it's their kids' future and their kids' present. So I kind of thought it was going to be okay. But you can kind of
Texas
explore your
Texas
thought.
is the optimist in our marriage. I am a pessimist slash realist. I was at a conference when the whole world was shutting down. I was in downtown Fort Worth at an education conference, and I was getting text message after text message. Oh, LISD's closed, Northwest is closed, Argyle's closed, Denton's closed. Like, we don't need any more sessions in March. Can we get a refund? Can we? And I was just like, what? And so it pretty much came to a halt in March of 2020, and then through April and May. We had a couple of clients who saw the big picture, and they were like, no, we're going to keep going. They are doing virtual school. Texas got back into school that fall. We didn't have this huge situation like a lot of the rest of the country did. Texas was pretty open for business. And so, yes, I was very nervous at first. But I had already transitioned most of my clients to virtual when my daughter was born in 2016. I was still commuting down to Trophy Club. And so we had to figure out something else. And so all of my clients in 2016, that January, I take like a week off every time we have a child. Because if you're not working, you're not making money.
Right.
And so I transitioned all of I think I had like 8 or 9 Trophy Club families, and we transitioned all of them to virtual.
You were
With
ahead of the
either,
curve.
yes, with either
Yeah.
FaceTime or
Well,
Zoom wasn't a thing yet. I think it
no,
was
Zoom was a thing. I think you did Skype mostly
yes, Skype.
before they killed it. Yeah.
Yes.
But it was one of those things where it was, hey, to the clients, like, either I can't do this anymore for a while, or we can give it a shot going virtual and see how that works. And I
Yeah.
think all of them,
All of
it
them.
benefited everybody because it's also easier for parents and kids to manage a virtual session than
Right.
it is to manage a physical one where they've got to drive to a location. Like, you had kids doing virtual sessions in a car
Yes.
on the way to some kind of sporting event
Yes.
or something.
We would do car ride sessions. Yeah.
Nice.
Her mom was an interior designer, and so they were always in the car going to places, and so we would just do math homework in the car.
Well, I think you started, this was fun too. So everything I think for Jen starts analog and as basic as possible, and then it scales up. So she started with a little whiteboard and a marker, right? And she would work out problems on this whiteboard and marker and then show it to the camera on the computer. And I don't even know what device you were using at the time.
Who knows?
I don't know. But then
2016.
yeah, but then you got a Surface, I think,
Yes.
Microsoft Surface, and started using their whiteboard to actually share your screen and everything, and it got real high tech real quick.
Yeah.
And you've kind of been doing that ever since.
Yes.
Then
Yeah.
kids do it back and they share theirs, and
Mm-hmm. Yep. Or they'll send me pictures, and a lot of times if I'm sharing my screen, I will make them just verbally tell me what we're doing. And so I'm writing, but they're the ones driving the conversation.
Mhm.
But yeah, in 2016, when we transitioned to virtual because of the newborn, I think I had 8 or 9 clients spread out over 2 days. They all were like, yes, let's do it. You've built the relationship. We know you, you know them, you know when they're not paying attention. And all of them, there was no drop in their scores from the fall when I was meeting in person to the spring of doing virtual. And then throughout the rest of None of them wanted to meet face to face. I remember once she got to,
It's not as convenient.
yeah, they all
Yeah.
wanted to continue virtual. So that helped with driving and time and all of that. And so
So
I,
everything switched to
yeah.
that in
So when
2020.
COVID happened, that part wasn't an issue at all. Now,
Not for you.
not for me. Some of my tutors, sweet ladies that are retired. Texas did a whole session once. They came over and sat around the dining room table, and they had purchased devices, and he was teaching them how to do Zoom.
We had tutorials.
Yeah.
Well, because for a lot of people, that was a huge shift.
Yeah. No, it was a big adjustment going to all the virtual meetings and stuff. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so we still have some of that. We still have families that prefer virtual just for they don't have to drive to the library or the tutor's house or clean up their house to have somebody come over. So we still have a lot of virtual. And we have families sometimes doing like 9 p.m. sessions after sports. And so it just really is convenient to offer the virtual. But most of us went back to in person if it was possible, especially with the younger kids. With elementary school, they need that in person. And then just, whether they're
Face-to-face.
if they're ADD or any kind of learning disability where they need to be sitting together, we're back
Yeah.
in person for
Mhm.
that. But long term, we haven't really noticed. I mean, we saw that virtual school really doesn't work. That was something I think we took away as a country, that
Yeah.
kids still need to be in person learning. Some can do that, but for the vast majority, they need face to face. And so now, kind of our new thing is just looking at how AI is impacting
Mm.
education. I haven't noticed too much of an impact, and I feel like it might be similar to virtual school. Is kids aren't able, I would say, to use AI like a college student or a young adult to like really learn. Because I mean, AI can do calculus, it can do everything, but they still need just that support, face to face, breaking it down. Okay, how did you do that? Where did
Right.
you know
AI
so
can do it, but it can't necessarily teach it.
Right. And
Yeah.
maybe it can eventually, but I still feel like, teenagers, young kids, I just don't feel like they're quite inept yet.
But I think the
Yeah.
human connection is just different.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can't replace the human connection.
Right. But it's a wonderful tool. Like we've used it, as a math teacher. I don't always get everything correct. And so I've used AI a couple of times where I'm like, okay, this problem is there's something off about it. It's not working the way I thought it would, or I'm stuck. And so I'll screenshot it in ChatGPT and, figure out my error, and then we move on. So it's a really good tool if you're using it properly. It's kind of
Yeah.
like photo math or Wolfram Alpha. You can just copy the answers, but that's not going to help you on the test. You got to really use it the way that it's designed to learn, what you're missing.
Yeah. And so you mentioned you still have a lot of clients who are virtual, but you still have, with the 15 you mentioned tutors that are on your roster, you still have a lot that kind of do face to face. Is that?
Yes.
It sounds like it's a mix of sometimes they're at the tutor's house, sometimes they're at the client's house, sometimes they're at a library or a Starbucks.
Yeah.
Is it a wide mix
Yeah.
like that?
Uh-huh. Yep.
And do y'all have like a storefront or anything like that?
No, we have not.
Our goal has been to keep our overhead costs low.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, and I think we've mentioned a storefront like twice, but not
Yeah.
really jumped on board with that. That's instant massive overhead.
Right.
Yes. We
Yeah.
have we had friends in the past that own a coffee shop, and I remember watching just the amount of hours that they would put in there, because if you're not there, then you've got to pay somebody to be there.
Hmm.
And so it just has not been something that we have felt called to do, put up a storefront. Because like you said, our overhead is next to nothing other than just
Well,
technology.
I don't know about next to nothing. It's not as much as a retail space.
Yeah, just technology and gas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right, if people want to learn more, well, first let me ask if you have any advice for parents if they're, not sure, when's a good time to start thinking about tutoring for your kid. I'm sure it's very unique for every individual child, but is there anything kind of you've noticed over the years of like signs to look for that your kid might really benefit from this?
So we have kind of two avenues that I've noticed. Is we've got families who only want to tutor in the summer. They want to prevent that summer learning loss.
Mm.
And I always hear from them during the school year how great it's going. Most school districts use like a MAP test that they'll give in the fall and then in the winter, and then in the spring. And I always hear wonderful things from my summer kiddos that they're having a great year. And then I have the other side of it is I have clients who want to just keep up once a week during the school year. They'll break during the summer. And so we're working, once a week, mostly during the school year. And man, it's amazing to watch. My most recent, I've got two kiddos. They're both in 8th grade, and they had both failed STAR, and one failed in 6th, one failed in 7th. And we started tutoring either that fall or the spring, and just seeing how much 1 hour a week can really just send them into mastery, like from failing to making A's and B's on their tests, watching their confidence. I think that's a piece that we don't think about as teachers, especially in secondary. We have so many students. I think I had like
Mhm.
160 students when I was
Ooh.
teaching, and that's like on the low end. I think most middle school and high school teachers have 180, 200 students. And
Yep.
so we don't get to have that relationship with them because there's so many. But the confidence is a huge component to how successful that they are. If they believe that they can do it, that they've seen, okay, I've done this problem by myself, or I've got this concept down. Like, I'm ready to go take a quiz or take a test and show what I know. And just it kind of not spirals, it builds on itself. It's like
Yeah.
an avalanche.
Compounds, yeah.
Compounds, that's the word, yes. And so not necessarily like what are the signs, but it's just amazing what 1 hour a week can do.
Yeah.
People might not think that a lot can be accomplished if you're meeting once a week, but there's really a lot that can happen in just building that confidence in the kids.
Well, when it's one-on-one, it's just you and the kid. I mean, it's different than you said as a math teacher.
Yeah.
You had tutoring, you had tutorials, but it was you and a lot of kids, right? Several kids.
You'd have kids who are absent in there trying to get caught up,
Yeah.
or kids who had scored poorly, or
Well,
kids.
and the amount you could cover, amount of material that you could cover, or even the level of which you could like tailor that to what they needed
Mhm.
was limited.
Yes. Yes. So I would say there really isn't. I mean, unless you're looking at a kiddo struggling in algebra 2, that's going to take a little bit more time to figure out, what are the weaknesses? Why are we struggling in algebra 2? Is it an algebra 1 issue? Is it, just a number sense issue from middle school and elementary? But if they're coming in 6th, 7th grade, 8th grade, not scoring well on their tests, maybe not passing STAR, or they're at what's that middle of the road and STAR approaching. If they're at
Yes.
approaching on STAR, that's all a great time to jump in for tutoring.
Well, you even have kids in advanced courses sometimes.
Yes.
Right, that you help because they're difficult. I mean,
Yes.
it's not an easy thing to skip a year or to take an advanced year in math or another subject, and you've helped kids to
Right.
be successful in that who otherwise wouldn't have been.
That's true. Not all of my students are low performing. Some of them just want to maintain that A in their honors class.
And that's a great
Yeah.
reason too. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm
Yeah.
curious, you mentioned tailoring a little bit, but I was curious how much of this is like you can kind of like tailor the curriculum by grade, or how much of it really has to be like tailored to each individual student and their needs.
So we always try to start with what they're learning in school. And that's one of the things that I think gives us an edge over a lot of these brick and mortar establishments, is that's hard to do when you're seeing multiple kids. I think that those
Mhm.
establishments you can buy like a package where you go twice a week or 3 times a week. And
Mhm.
so depending on who's working that night, how many kids are there, there's a lot of variables. And so I think those establishments create their own curriculum. And so they might be having, an 8th grader work on surface area and volume, because that's where their program is, but the kids are learning Pythagorean theorem in school. And so will they get there? Probably, if they stick with their program all year. But what sets us apart is that we're working with the kids based on what they're learning in school. So if they're learning Pythagorean theorem, we're doing that, and we'll get to surface area when they're doing that in their school curriculum. And so we always like to start with what are you working on in school? And then what homework do you have? They'll either, have worksheets, or a big one right now is Delta Math. It's an online program that a lot of the school districts are using. So they'll have homework there, or they've got a quiz or a test that's coming up. And so starting with the resources that they come with, and then I have a ton of my own things that I've picked up either from when I was teaching, or just textbooks that I've purchased along the way. Because I was an 8th grade math teacher, but I tutor 3rd grade to algebra 2. And so I've had to get some of my own resources from like half price books, just purchasing like Holt is a company that I've purchased, McGraw-Hill, just getting some textbooks so that we have more resources for practice.
Yeah.
Khan Academy is another good resource.
But I
that
think one of the
use.
great things you get to do what any great teacher does is see where they need to be, which is what they're currently working on.
Yeah.
And then work backwards and find the gaps and start filling those in. And that may be something that they missed last year or last week, or it could be something they missed 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And so you get to work on filling those gaps so they can do what they're expected to do today.
Right. Yeah, a lot of the times they're not struggling with what the current concept is, but they're just struggling with like integers. Like they never had a good grasp on how to add and subtract, multiply and divide integers. Do they know how Pythagorean theorem works? Yes, but they don't know how to do the computation.
And they don't know why they don't know how to do that.
Yeah.
Which is your job.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you talked about, Jennifer, the, rewarding aspect of it, being able to connect with kids on more of an individual level as opposed to being a classroom teacher and being able to see them develop that confidence. I'm wondering what's been the most rewarding part of this journey for you so far? Is it that overall, or is there any specific instance that comes to mind that has just been really fulfilling for you?
You should talk about the one that just graduated recently.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so I had one that just graduated. She came to me. She was in 8th grade during COVID, and she failed 8th grade math that year. I got her that summer after 8th grade because I was full. I didn't have any openings. And so we started the summer before Algebra 1, and she was not happy. A lot of these kids are not happy to meet me.
I'm pretty sure she said she hated math.
Yeah, no, yes.
Which is not unusual.
So yeah, this is a face-to-face. That's the other thing with the face-to-face. When they come to my house, they almost like become part of the family. Like my kids want to give them a hug. She had like a light up backpack as a senior, like a princess backpack. And my 4-year-old, every time she'd leave the house, would be like, "Can I hit your backpack?" And she'd like squat down and let her hit the backpack. And so, yeah, they
That's
almost
nice.
become like family when they're, I mean, she graduated, so she was with me for 4 years, every Monday at my dining room table for 4 years. Oh, I'm gonna get emotional. Yeah, she hated it. And I think she got an A in Algebra 1, Geometry,
really
Algebra 2.
Yeah.
And then she's like, "I don't want to take pre-cal." Ugh. And I was like, "Well, I think you could take like math models, or they had some other kind of course that you could take if you didn't want to take pre-cal," but she didn't put anything down. So they threw her in pre-cal, and she did it. She did pre-cal. She passed the whatever Oklahoma's placement is. Texas, we do the TSI if you don't take the SAT. And so she passed the one for Oklahoma to go to school up there. So yeah, that's a fun story. Just, yeah, seeing where they come in either pissed off, angry that their parents are making them do this, or sad or scared. Some of my 6th graders look like deer in headlights.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, she would say by the end, she was like, "Okay, math's okay."
Well, and she built such a great relationship with you. Like you became a safe place for her and for her family.
Yeah.
Too. Like she wrote the sweetest letter to Jen when she graduated.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, she did.
great.
Sweetheart. Yeah, those kinds of stories are my favorite. Sometimes I'll get little text messages from parents like, "She made a 95 on her test, and she said I could tell you," and just fun things like that where they just will send like quick little messages sharing, how it's going and all of that. So yeah, that's probably my favorite part.
But even like running the business aspect, like working with and managing other people has been rewarding too.
Yeah. Yes, that
Like
has.
the relationships that you've gotten to build with people you never would have met, and the people that you get to help.
Yes.
With their side hustle or to make an additional income.
Right. Yes, that's true.
I think that's been a big blessing.
Yeah, especially the other young moms like myself who are wanting to be home with their kids but need to provide for their families, and loading them up with clients. They always are just like, "Thank you," as I send them another one.
when
That's great.
you've made friends through that
Yeah.
process too.
Yes, I have.
That's awesome. Well, I know we've gone over time, and I know you guys got kiddos to get back to, so I want to end with asking for any listeners who are curious, how can they learn more about Easy as Pie?
Oh, I guess I'll take that one. Well, they can head over to easyaspitx.com. So that's easy, EASY, as PITX.com. That's our website. There's a Google form to put your info in so we can get in touch with you. And we would love to talk with whoever wants to learn more.
All right, we'll put a link to that in the show notes as well. Tex, Jennifer, thank you guys both so much for joining me today. I really appreciate your time.
Absolutely. Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
We like to end our interviews. Can we get a Go Mean Green?
Absolutely.
Go Mean Green.
It was so great getting to chat with Tex and Jennifer and hear about their passion for helping kids learn. They truly believe the work they do can change a child's educational trajectory. Check the show notes to learn more about Easy as Pi Tutoring. And if you know about an alumni-owned small business that we could feature on the podcast, email podcast@unt.edu or call 940-565-4341. You can also help us grow by telling a friend about the show, sharing it on social media, or leaving us a 5-star rating and review wherever you listen. Remember, we're off next week. We'll be back in December. And until then, we hope you have a happy Friday, North Texas. And go Mean Green. Happy Friday, North Texas is a production of the University of North Texas. Today's show was produced and edited by Scott Brown with original reporting by Scott Brown. For more information, visit unt.edu/podcast.